Welcome in Western Slope. I'm here today with Congressman Jeff Hurd, who represents our district. Congressman, thank you so much for joining me today.
Happy to join you, Kyle.
Perfect. So first things first, I wanted to ask, I know that Congressman Lauren Boebert talked about the delisting of the wolves. So both you and I know what's about the bill, but the camera doesn't know, but walk me through about the bill.
Sure. So this bill basically delists the gray wolf under the Endangered Species Act. The gray wolf has recovered in the United States, and the Endangered Species Act was never meant to be a permanent place. It was meant to recover species and then take them off that list. And so this bill would take the gray wolf off of that endangered species list. It's been the subject of lots of litigation, but I will tell you going Democratic and Republican administrations have all said the gray wolf has recovered, we need to remove it off the list. But environmental activists have kept that from happening. And so fundamentally, this bill would take the gray wolf off the Endangered Species Act list. And the important thing for people here in Western Colorado to know is that would allow wildlife managers here on the ground in Colorado to make decisions that protect our livestock industry, our pets, and make sure that we can manage that gray wolf population in a smart way.
Yes, and I've heard so many things about ranchers, especially with their livestock. How important is that, to have that, you can actually have more protection now. You can actually, if you see a gray wolf, you have more opportunity to actually protect your livestock.
Yeah, giving that control back to people here on the ground, I think, is something that's important, and that's a key part of what we're doing in this legislation, is making sure that the ranchers that put food on our tables have the ability to protect livestock is something that is important to their livelihood, but ultimately to our way of life as well in the West. Ranching is such an important part of who we are as Western Coloradans, but it's an issue that gets to affordability as well. If ranchers are losing their herds and costs are going up because they're having to spend more and more money protecting their animals, and they're losing animals, that ultimately translates into increased costs that we have to pay at the grocery store. So this is a win for our Western way of life, for ranchers protecting their herds, but also it's a win for all of us at the grocery store in keeping those food costs lower.
Mm-hmm. And I saw that you were also a co-sponsor on the bill. So what does it mean for you to be a co-sponsor with one of our Colorado legislators to be signing this bill?
Sure. Well, Representative Boebert and I both represent the same district. She used to represent this district, and I'm her successor now. We both know how important this issue is for Western Colorado ranchers and outfitters and the folks that rely on this important part of our economy. So I was proud to co-sponsor this legislation. I actually argued for it on the floor of the House, and I had a statement that actually one of the criticisms that we got from Democrats is, why are you talking about wolves and not talking about issues like affordability? And my response was, well, we are talking about affordability and all sorts of other bills, but this wolf delisting does get to affordability. This is livelihood for so many ranchers here in Western Colorado. This matters to people. This is a way of life that, I don't care if you're in the smallest town or in the biggest city, what happens here in Western Colorado when it comes to food production matters, and we're doing everything we can to protect that way of life and to keep those food costs low and to do the right thing for rural Colorado.
Perfect. And, walk me through it. From the other side of the aisle, would you say that they're going to be agreeing with you, or something more of a disagreement, knowing?
Well, the legislation that we passed was bipartisan. What I would tell you is, just don't take my word for it. Look at what previous Democratic presidential administrations have said about the gray wolf. They've said that the species has recovered and that we can take it off the Endangered Species Act. Look at what the Biden administration said. Look at what President Obama said. Those administrations on the other side of the aisle recognize that this species has recovered. And again, good public policy when it comes to the Endangered Species Act looks to see, has this species recovered or not? Have their numbers gone up? The gray wolf population in the United States is exceeding, my understanding is, more than 2,700 wolves that we know of. The species has recovered. The science says it. We ought to endorse that scientific consensus and delist the gray wolf.
Perfect. And, I saw that basically the House has already passed it. So now looking to the Senate, I'm just wanted to know what the situation is going on with the Senate side.
That's a great question. I would anticipate that this bill has a majority support in the Senate. The thing to keep in mind, though, is we have a filibuster, which requires at least 60 senators to agree before legislation makes it to ultimate debate and vote on the Senate floor. Whether or not we have that 60 votes is something that remains to be seen. It will require the support of legislators in the West, and I think folks that are most impacted by this recognize the importance of being able to manage this wolf population on the ground in a way that makes sense, in a way that, again, protects the livelihoods of our ranchers, keeps food costs low, and is ultimately sound science. So my cautiously optimistic take is that this will meet passage in the Senate as well.
I understand. And you know, if it goes to the Senate and you don't get those 60 votes, what could happen after that?
Well, we'll continue in the same spot that we are now, which is with a system that's not working, with a species that has recovered, that is still listed on the Endangered Species Act legislation, and it will lead to increased costs for us at the grocery store, but also put additional stresses on wildlife managers and also on the ranchers that raise the livestock that is such an important part of our food security here in this country. So the unfortunate result would be a continuation of the status quo, which means higher costs at the grocery store, which means more stress on livestock and more stress on the ranchers that ultimately put the food on our table. Not a good result.
I gotcha. And that's not most of the questions I got for you. I guess one of the other ones I wanted to follow, but basically, I'm not sure if we talked about this, but the other reactions from the co-sponsors of the bill as well, from like someone that may not be within Colorado.
Sure. Well, I think this is an issue that matters to all of us when it comes to the food supply chain. And here's the other thing I would say. I grew up here in Grand Junction. My family was not involved in agriculture. I'm part of that 98%. I'm guessing most of the people that are watching this right now are not involved in agriculture. And what I would say is this issue doesn't just matter to people that are raising the food that we eat. It's not just something that's important to the agriculture community. It's important to every single Coloradan. And it's something I certainly didn't appreciate because I was part of that 98% of our population that's not involved in agriculture. But if we really want to make sure that we are looking out for all of us, we need to make sure that we protect that 2% and support that 2% that are raising the food that we eat. And this issue of the gray wolf is something that matters to each and every one of us, regardless of whether or not you have a ranching operation. So this bill is good for our ranchers, it's good for our animals, but it's also good for every single member of Colorado's 3rd Congressional District and beyond across the country.
Perfect, I understand. And that wraps up most of the questions I got for you. Is there anything I missed you want to go over or talk about in regards to this particular topic?
This is one of the issues that I campaigned on, and I heard loud and clear from folks across the Western Slope the importance of this issue. Just know that behind the scenes, also, I am working hard to prevent the continued forced translocation of wolves back into Colorado. It's something that you don't necessarily hear on the news, but just know, and I would hope that my constituents across the Western Slope in Southern Colorado know that this is something I take seriously, and I'm working hard to support our ranchers and our outfitters by preventing further wolf translocations into Colorado.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Congressman. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Kyle.
Appreciate
Happy
it.
to join you.
Yes.